15 celebrities who destroyed their careers on talk shows. You've seen them on the silver screen. You've invited them into your living rooms. You trusted them as icons. But what happens when a perfectly crafted celebrity image collapses in just a few minutes of live television? Today, we're counting down 15 celebrities who torpedoed their own careers on talk shows, sometimes with a single sentence, sometimes with a full-blown meltdown. These weren't just awkward interviews. They were career-ending disasters. Some were fueled by arrogance, others by addiction or untreated mental health struggles, and a few simply couldn't survive the pressure of unscripted TV. Publicists panicked, studios scrambled, and millions of viewers watched as decades of goodwill evaporated in real time. Let's start with one of the most infamous moments in talk show history. 1. Tom Cruise. In May 2005, Tom Cruise was untouchable. Blockbusters like Top Gun, Jerry Maguire, and Mission Impossible made him Hollywood's most bankable star. He commanded $25 million per movie and had the power to make or destroy entire studios. Then he walked onto the Oprah Winfrey Show, declaring his love for Katie Holmes. Cruise leapt onto Oprah's couch, pumped his fists, dropped to one knee, and shouted his devotion. The audience didn't know whether to applaud or call security. Oprah tried to regain control. Cruise didn't notice. The backlash was instant. Late-night comedians mocked him relentlessly. The internet, still young at the time, turned him into a meme factory overnight. America's golden boy suddenly looked unhinged. But the couch jump was only the beginning. A month later, Cruise appeared on the Today Show and aggressively attacked psychiatry, lecturing Matt Lauer while defending Scientology. You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do. The fallout was catastrophic. Despite being directed by Steven Spielberg, War of the Worlds underperformed. Paramount Pictures severed its 14-year relationship with Cruise, with Chairman Sumner Redstone calling his behavior creative suicide. Cruise's Q score, Hollywood's likability metric, plummeted by 40%. Although Cruise eventually rebuilt his career through sheer determination and death-defying stunts, those few talk show appearances cost him years of goodwill and tens of millions in lost earnings. 2. Michael Richards. For millions of Americans, Michael Richards will always be Kramer from Seinfeld. But in November 2006, Richards destroyed his reputation in a single night. During a stand-up set at the Laugh Factory, Richards unleashed a racist tirade at black audience members who heckled him. Cell phone footage spread across the internet like wildfire. Desperate to contain the damage, Richards appeared via satellite on Late Show with David Letterman, with Jerry Seinfeld sitting beside the host. What followed was 6 minutes of excruciating television. "I'm not a racist. That's what's so insane about this," Richards insisted, while the audience nervously laughed. Seinfeld had to stop them. "Stop laughing. It's not funny." Richards' apology focused more on his own distress than the harm he caused. The public wasn't buying it. Within days, Richards retired from stand-up comedy. Job offers disappeared. His legacy was permanently tarnished. Residuals from Seinfeld kept him financially afloat, but his career as a beloved entertainer was over. 3. Madonna. By 1994, Madonna was already pop music's most notorious provocateur. She had spent more than a decade pushing boundaries, sexually, politically, and culturally, and had built an empire on controversy. From her Like a Virgin performance at the MTV Video Music Awards to the explicit sex book, Madonna understood exactly how shock translated into headlines. But her appearance on Late Show with David Letterman crossed a line even longtime fans weren't prepared for. From the moment she walked on stage, the tension was obvious. Madonna ignored the usual talk show rhythm and immediately took control of the interview. She swore repeatedly on live network television, something almost unheard of at the time. She presented Letterman with her underwear. She smoked a cigar. She refused to leave the stage when the segment was supposed to end. And she made explicit comments about Letterman's sex life, daring him to react. Letterman, visibly uncomfortable, struggled to keep the show on track. At one point, he openly acknowledged the chaos, telling viewers they would have to start bleeping almost everything she said. By the end of the broadcast, The episode had racked up over 130 bleeps, a record that still stands. The reaction was immediate and polarized. Some fans praised Madonna for continuing to challenge censorship and hypocrisy. Others saw something different, an artist relying too heavily on shock value at a time when her musical dominance was beginning to wane. Radio stations temporarily banned her music. Critics accused her of confusing provocation with artistry. While Madonna would reinvent herself repeatedly over the following decades, this appearance marked a shift in how the public viewed her. She was no longer just a boundary-pushing icon. She was increasingly seen as someone willing to do anything for attention. 4. Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers built her legendary career on being fearless, blunt, and unapologetic. For decades, she skewered celebrities, mocked red carpets, and made jokes no one else dared to tell. She survived being blacklisted, reinvented herself multiple times, and became a trailblazer for women in comedy. But in 2014, during what should have been a routine CNN interview to promote her book, Rivers reached her breaking point. When the interviewer suggested that Rivers' comedy was mean, Rivers immediately bristled. She pushed back hard, insisting that she was simply saying what everyone else thought but was afraid to say out loud. As the questioning continued, Rivers became increasingly defensive. Then it happened. She removed her earpiece, stood up, and walked off the set, live on television. The clip went viral within hours. Many viewers and commentators argued that the queen of insult comedy couldn't handle being criticized herself. Others defended Rivers, saying she was ambushed rather than interviewed. Just 2 months later, Rivers passed away following complications from a medical procedure, making the CNN walk-off one of her final public appearances. Instead of serving as a celebration of her groundbreaking career, the interview became an uncomfortable final chapter, one that overshadowed decades of cultural impact and comedic innovation. 5. Hugh Grant. In the 1990s, Hugh Grant seemed immune to scandal. Even his infamous 1995 arrest became part of his charming, self-deprecating public persona. Audiences forgave him easily, but by the late 2000s, that charm had worn thin behind the scenes. Years after Grant appeared on The Daily Show to promote Did You Hear About the Morgans?, host Jon Stewart publicly labeled him the worst guest in the show's history. Stewart described Grant as rude, dismissive, and openly hostile toward staff, complaining about clips and acting as though the appearance was beneath him. This was rare. Stewart interviewed thousands of guests, and almost never called anyone out publicly. When the comments reached Grant, he admitted fault and apologized publicly. But in Hollywood, reputation travels faster than apologies. Studios grew hesitant. Leading romantic roles dried up. Grant's career quietly shifted from starring roles to supporting characters. Those few minutes of diva behavior didn't end his career, but they permanently altered its trajectory, costing him years of momentum and millions in potential earnings. 6. Roseanne Barr, a reboot ruined. In 2018, Roseanne Barr was in the middle of one of the greatest comeback stories in television history. The revival of Roseanne debuted to over 18 million viewers, unheard of numbers in the streaming era. Barr was earning a reported $500,000 per episode and had re-established herself as a ratings powerhouse. Then she posted a racist tweet. Within hours, ABC canceled the show outright, despite its massive success. Cast members publicly distanced themselves. Reruns were pulled. Sponsors vanished. Instead of limiting the damage, Barr embarked on a disastrous talk show tour. She appeared defensive, blamed medication, cited misunderstandings, and framed herself as the real victim. Each appearance made things worse. ABC eventually retooled the show into The Conners, killing off Barr's character and moving forward without her. A comeback decades in the making was destroyed in a single night, and her talk show appearances ensured there would be no redemption arc. 7. Kanye West, the unraveling of a genius. For years, Kanye West's genius outweighed his controversies. But as his behavior grew increasingly erratic, his talk show appearances stopped being promotional tools and became warning signs. On Jimmy Kimmel Live, uncomfortable silences replaced punchlines. On Piers Morgan Uncensored, West doubled down on inflammatory statements, offering explanations disguised as apologies. The public backlash was swift. Within weeks, Adidas ended its billion-dollar Yeezy partnership. Gap, Balenciaga, and his talent agency followed. Companies that once defended him decided he was no longer worth the risk. West's net worth reportedly dropped from billionaire status to under $400 million almost overnight. These weren't just bad interviews, they were the public collapse of a cultural empire. 8. Charlie Sheen, winning at career suicide. In early 2011, Charlie Sheen was the highest-paid actor on television. Then came Good Morning America. "I'm not bipolar. I'm bi-winning. I've got tiger blood." The interview instantly turned Sheen into a punchline. What was meant to save his job did the opposite. CBS fired him. He lost an estimated $100 million in future earnings. His reputation collapsed overnight. Despite attempts at recovery, Sheen's career never returned to its former heights. 9. Joaquin Phoenix. In 2009, Joaquin Phoenix appeared on Late Show with David Letterman, and from the moment he walked on stage, something felt wrong. He wore dark sunglasses indoors. He chewed gum. He mumbled through half-finished sentences. And he seemed completely detached from reality. Letterman, known for handling awkward guests with ease, tried repeatedly to engage him. Questions about Phoenix's recent films went nowhere. Attempts at humor were met with blank stares. Finally, Letterman delivered the line that would define the interview. "Joaquin, I'm sorry you couldn't be here tonight." The audience erupted in laughter. Phoenix didn't react at all. Viewers were left genuinely confused. Was Phoenix intoxicated, experiencing a breakdown, or simply disrespecting the host? Months later, the truth emerged. The appearance was part of an elaborate performance for I'm Still Here, a mockumentary meant to satirize celebrity culture. Phoenix was pretending to quit acting and reinvent himself as a rapper. The problem was devastatingly simple. No one was in on the joke. For over a year, Phoenix stayed in character, reinforcing the illusion. Directors, producers, and studio executives believed he was unstable. Offers dried up. His once thriving career came to a halt. When I'm Still Here was finally released, critics were merciless. The film was labeled self-indulgent, confusing, and unnecessary. At the box office, it flopped. Phoenix eventually returned to serious acting and rebuilt his reputation, winning acclaim, and later an Oscar. But the experiment cost him years of momentum and millions in lost opportunities. It was a rare case where committing too hard to a performance nearly ended a career. 10. Farrah Fawcett, a fallen angel. By 1997, Farrah Fawcett was already a pop culture legend. Her role in Charlie's Angels, her iconic red swimsuit poster, and her all-American image had made her one of the most recognizable faces in the world. But as Hollywood moved on, Fawcett struggled to maintain relevance. Her appearance on Late Show with David Letterman was meant to remind audiences of her enduring appeal. Instead, it became one of the most uncomfortable interviews in talk show history. From the moment she sat down, Fawcett appeared unfocused and disoriented. She giggled inappropriately. She told rambling stories that led nowhere. She frequently lost her train of thought. Letterman, visibly concerned, gently asked if she was okay. The audience didn't laugh, they grew uneasy. As the interview continued, speculation exploded. Was she on medication? Under the influence? Experiencing health issues? The next morning, headlines asked a brutal question. Has Farrah lost it? That single appearance permanently altered her public image. Rather than reigniting her stardom, it reframed her as a tragic figure struggling under the weight of fame. While Fawcett would later earn admiration for her courage during her public battle with cancer, the damage from that interview never fully faded. 11. Geraldo Rivera. Before becoming a cable news personality, Geraldo Rivera was a respected investigative journalist. But in 1988, everything changed. Rivera hosted a daytime talk show episode featuring members of hate groups, activists, and opposing factions, all seated together on stage. The setup was volatile by design. Within minutes, chaos erupted. A full-scale brawl broke out on live television. Fists flew. Chairs were thrown. And in the middle of it all, a chair smashed into Rivera's face, breaking his nose. Blood streamed as cameras kept rolling. Instead of cutting away, the show continued. Rivera returned to the stage with tissues stuffed into his nostrils, insisting on finishing the broadcast. Critics were merciless. The incident was labeled exploitative, irresponsible, and emblematic of trash television. Journalism organizations condemned it as a low point in American broadcasting. Rivera later admitted the truth himself. "It destroyed my credibility." While he eventually rebuilt a career in cable news, the episode permanently changed how he was viewed, from serious journalist to sensationalist host willing to risk anything for ratings. 12. James Brown, The Godfather stumbles. James Brown was a living legend. The godfather of soul had shaped modern music, influenced generations of artists, and built a reputation as the hardest-working man in show business. But in 1988, a CNN interview exposed a troubling reality behind the legend. Brown appeared disoriented. His speech was slurred. His answers drifted into incoherent rambling. When asked serious questions, he responded with disconnected thoughts that barely made sense. Viewers immediately suspected substance abuse. Less than 3 months later, those suspicions were confirmed when Brown led police on a high-speed chase across state lines while allegedly under the influence of drugs. He would later serve time in prison. While James Brown's musical legacy remained untouchable, his public image was permanently damaged. Concert attendance declined. Record sales dropped. The man once viewed as unstoppable now appeared deeply troubled. The CNN interview marked the moment the public stopped seeing only the legend and started seeing the cost of a lifetime lived at full volume. Talk shows are designed to promote careers. They sell movies. They sell albums. They sell books. But for these celebrities, they did the opposite. One camera, one microphone, one unscripted moment, and everything they worked for came crashing down. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment which meltdown shocked you the most. Because in Hollywood, fame isn't lost slowly. It's lost live.